Hey everyone and welcome. Today we're going to pull back the curtain and look behind the magic of every single app you use. We're going to explore the three fundamental layers of software that make it all possible. So let's get into it.
Have you ever tapped a button on your phone and just wondered what's really happening behind the screen? It can feel a little bit like magic, right? But in reality, it's this beautifully organized system. And in this explainer, we're going to break down exactly how it all works.
All right, let's kick things off with the part you're most familiar with, the front end. This is the first layer, and it's all about what you, the user, can actually see and touch.
At its core, the front end is the user interface. Every single button you click, every menu you scroll through, the entire visual layout of an app, that is all part of the front end. Its main job is to be intuitive and engaging, making sure your experience is as smooth as it can possibly be. So this shows the whole journey, from just an idea to an interactive screen. It all starts with designers creating a visual blueprint, a mock-up. Then developers step in and bring that design to life with the core languages of the web, HTML for the structure, CSS for the style, and JavaScript for the interactivity. And for more complex features, they use these toolkits called frameworks to make the interface feel really dynamic and responsive.
Right. A beautiful design is great, but it has to actually do something. When you log in, post a photo, or check your account balance, where does all that information come from? And what's making the decisions?
Well, that leads us straight to our second layer, the backend. If the front end is the face, the back end is the brain. It's the engine that's powering everything behind the scenes.
This quote really just nails it. The back end is where all the heavy lifting happens. It's the core logic, it's the processing power, and it's really the heart of the application that keeps the whole thing running.
The iceberg is the perfect analogy for this. The front end is the visible tip, the buttons and forms you interact with. But the back end is that massive, invisible part underneath the surface. It's handling all the critical tasks, like checking your password, calculating your shopping cart total, or figuring out if you have permission to see a certain page.
So, how is a backend actually built? Well, it's created using a whole bunch of powerful tools. As you can see here, you have frameworks which provide the basic structure for the app's logic. Then there are tools for API documentation, which is like an instruction manual for how the front end and back end talk to each other. And finally, you have deployment platforms which are used to host the application and make it available to users all over the world.
And what does it actually do? Well, it's constantly listening for requests from the front end. It checks who you are, it processes the core logic, like making a reservation or saving a file, and then it fetches or saves information. Finally, it sends a result back to the front end to show you what happened.
Exactly. The back end can process a request, but when you close the app and open it again, how does it remember who you are or your past orders? Where is all that data being kept safe? This brings us to our third and final layer, the database. This is the application's long-term memory, the official record keeper.
And just like the back end is the brain, this is a perfect metaphor. The database is where all the vital information gets stored for the long haul. User profiles, product inventory, posts, comments, you name it. Without it, every application would essentially have amnesia.
Now, not every memory works the same way. The two main types of databases are SQL and NoSQL. Think of SQL, on the left, like a highly organized library with neat shelves. It's like a spreadsheet with strict rows and columns. It's perfect for structured data. NoSQL, represented on the right, is more like a collection of flexible documents, which is ideal for data that doesn't fit cleanly into a predefined table.
So we have the face, the brain, and the memory. But the real magic happens when they communicate seamlessly with each other. Let's look at a real-world example of how they all team up.
Let's take something you do every day, logging in. As step 1 shows, you enter your details in the front end. And step 2, the front end sends that data securely over to the back end. Step 3, the back end gets the request and asks the database, hey, is this user valid? The database checks and sends back its yes or no answer in step 4. Finally, in step 5, the back end confirms the login and tells the front end to let you in. And all of this happens in the blink of an eye.
So to sum it all up, it's these three pillars, front end, back end, and database, that support almost every piece of modern software. This separation isn't just for organization. It allows teams to specialize. It lets them scale different parts of the app independently, and it's what creates the stable, powerful applications we rely on every single day.
So now that you understand the big picture, is it the visual artistry of the front end, the complex problem solving of the back end, or the foundational structure of the database? Which of these pillars piques your curiosity the most? Something to think about the next time you fire up your favorite app. Thanks for tuning in.